Pavy's Daily Takes. We're back again. First things first, I just got back from the Sparks game. It was actually camp day, because so they had a game at, I think it was like, they had like 12:30. I had always wondered why they had those games so early, but I finally understood why. Like, it's not really so much about, like adults viewership. It's just about introducing kids to the game. And I think that for the Sparks, especially, well, not for the Sparks, for WNBA as like a whole, like that's what you need to do. You need to raise up the next generation of fans, that are gonna come to the game, and not only just come to the game, play the game. I don't know the ratio between girls and boys that were there, but even for women to see, well, young ladies, really girls, not even young ladies yet, for girls to see role models and people they could look up to playing basketball, like up close and personal, and it kind of be normalized that women play basketball. I think that's great. Like, maybe you could have influenced some girl who was there to be the next Diana Taurasi, the next Lisa Leslie, the next Skylar Diggins, the next like maybe you could have somewhat influenced that just by having them at that game. And I think that that's important for the league. It's important for the league's growth. The crowd and energy was great. If nothing else, man, you influence your kids to, go home and tell their parents, like, yo, I really enjoy myself. And then you influence the parents to maybe one weekend, we're going to go see this WNBA game. Like, tickets aren't too much money anyway. You could probably spend more money at dinner than you would at, like, a WNBA game, where you spend more money at an amusement park than, like, a WNBA game. So, it's really, man, it's just about the kids, man. And, like, that's why they do these early games. And I get it. I understand it. I respect it. And yeah, man, like the one thing I just learned just getting older in life is just everything is really about the kids, man. Like, once you pass the age of 25, it's not really about you no more, bro. Like, it's about the youth. That's music, that's sports, that's everything. It's about the youth. Speaking of the youth, there's one team that definitely headed towards a youth movement. The Oklahoma City Thunder. They have Chris Paul on their roster now. Chris Paul actually back where he started his career. Started his career with the Hornets, but they were the Oklahoma City Hornets because of Katrina. So he's actually back where he started. They were trying to, I guess, trade him immediately. Hasn't happened. But what I always do is I always look at the positives. I always look at the other angles. And I'm here to tell you, look, this is a big if. But if Chris Paul is engaged and he can stay moderately healthy, the Thunder can be a playoff team. The Thunder's roster, if you look at it, isn't that bad. Like, yes, they're in a rebuilding stage, but it's not that bad. I don't think that it really does the Thunder any good to try to tank. I don't think they're going to try to tank. I think they're going to try to go for it and at least make a playoff push. Reason being is, like, the Thunder have so many picks, so many picks, that they're going to be in trade discussions when any star comes up for the next 3-4 years. Like, they have so many assets they can give to any team, as well as some young players. And also I'm counting on guys to just take a step. Like, look, I covered Shea up close when I covered the Clippers a lot last year. I think Shea can come out this year and give you about 18 points. Let me look at what he averaged last year. I think probably around like 12. Last year he averaged 10 points. I think he can come out here next year and give you about 16, 17, 18 points. I think Shea could be most improved player next year. He's going to get a lot of opportunities. If you look at the roster, he's probably what he might be besides Danilo. It's going to be, Danilo. It's going to be situations in which Shea is going to be like probably the best scorer on the court. Again, yeah, you have Chris Paul, but, obviously Chris Paul is a more pure point guard. I think Shea can kind of play the 1 and the 2. He did it all year last year, played the 1 and the 2. I think if you could run a lineup of like Chris Paul, Shea, Ferguson, Danilo, and Steven Adams, I think that's a formidable 5. In my humble opinion, I really think that's a formidable 5. Steven Adams is still 25, years old. Chris Paul, like Chris Paul's contract isn't worth his play at this point, but that doesn't mean Chris Paul is a bad player. Like, we have to stop this, acting like Chris Paul can't play basketball. Chris Paul is still a very effective point guard. Granted, it's not 8 years ago. He's not the superstar he once was. He may not even be elite like he once was, but he's still a very good basketball player. I don't think you can name 15 point guards better than Chris Paul. You can try, you'll fail. In my humble opinion, I don't think you can do that at this point. Now, granted, he has his health concerns, like, his hamstrings go bad, his knees are bad, so he definitely has his health concerns. But if he can stay engaged and he wants to be there and stay on the court and actually give you about 70 games, I think this team has a realistic shot at the playoffs. Like, I think that you got about 7 teams who I think are a lock for the playoffs. At least I would assume. I think the Blazers, I think the Jazz, the Rockets, the Clippers, the Lakers, the Warriors. Who am I missing? I know I'm missing somebody. Jesus, I can't think right now. I'm sure I said the Blazers. The Nuggets. The Nuggets. They did about 7 teams who are like a lock for the playoffs. Now, that 8th spot, I think, is between like the Pelicans, the Mavericks, the Thunder, the Spurs. Like, that 8th spot can get really. I mean, even like I think Phoenix will be a lot better than what they were in past years. I don't know about playoff better, but I think they'll be a lot better than what they were in past years. But again, I think this Thunder team will be a competitive basketball team, and even if they aren't a playoff team, they'll be one of those fringe playoff teams like that 11th to 14th spot in the lottery. And with the way the lottery is now, like, you never know. You realistically may jump up however many picks and end up getting a top 5 pick. And look, I don't think this team is a bad team, man. Even like a guy like Darius Baisley, I saw him play Romeo Langford in high school, actually. I liked him in that game when I saw him play in high school. I even saw him play in summer league, and he did a couple moves, and I was like, all right, okay, like, you've been working on your game. So even like a guy like him coming in, I think him playing with a Chris Paul to help. Even like a guy like Terrence Ferguson, like, if he went in the gym and actually got better in this offseason, which I'm going to trust that he did, if he went in the gym and got better, I think he can help. Even Andre Roberson, he didn't play all last year, and I think that actually had a huge effect, and it was actually probably some of the reason why PG even hurt his shoulder was because PG was asked to guard, the best perimeter player pretty much all season, because usually that would be Roberson doing it, but he's out. I actually think Roberson is kind of what set the franchise back. I think just with the Thunder in general, they always have an injury that just really sets them back. Like, we got to remember when Roberson went down with that knee injury, he was probably the defensive player of the year. The man can't shoot the ball, so the only reason he out there is to play defense. So you got to be one hell of a defender, to be able to be on the court, even especially if you can't stretch the floor. So, I think if everybody can stay healthy, I really think like they could be a playoff team, bro. Well, at least borderline playoff team. I don't think they're tanking. Again, I don't think there's a real need for them to tank. Like, I don't get why you would tank. Again, you have so many picks, you have so many assets that you can kind of, like, again, you're going to be in trade talks for however long. Even if there's a pick that you want at the top of the draft, you got so many back assets and so many young players on your team. Trade a couple of them and go get the guy you want. I don't think you're in a position where you need to lose games on purpose. And also, you bringing guys like Danilo, you bringing guys like CB3 who still has money left on his deal, and it seems like he's not going anywhere. Also, if you're CP3, you probably want to come in and like play your value up, make a team want to take a risk. Also, if you're the Thunder, you want to put him on the court, hope he can come out here and give you like 16 and 10 to play his value up, so that maybe a team can come in and be like, you know what, we need him. Maybe a team like, I don't know, the Lakers. I don't think they would do it, but the Lakers, or some team that's a kind of a fringe playoff team that needs a point guard, you would think would come in and be like, okay, we could use this guy. Maybe the Bucks, depending on how Bledsoe looks, maybe the Bucks, somebody again could come in and be like, you know what, we could really, really use this guy. He could take us to that next level. So I don't think they'll be tanking. And I think they have a good roster, man. Like, when you look at this roster, it's not terrible. They are. And you still got Schroeder off the bench. I think they brought Nerlens back. You got Mike Muscala. You got some more floor spacers. I think that they hope Muscala can give them what Patterson never gave him when he signed. Also, Diallo's his second year. I think Diallo's the young athletic guard, defensive guard, and also get to the rim. Look, man. Like, I I think this team can definitely surprise some people. And also Steven Adams. I think Steven Adams is going to eat this year. I think this might be the best year of Steven Adams' career. You know, you got Chris Paul dishing it to you now. I love Russell Westbrook, and, you know, I love what he did in the, pick and roll with Adams. But I also love CP3. Now I know what CP3 can do in the pick and roll. I saw what he did with DJ. I saw when he saved Tyson Chandler's career. Like, Chris Paul has gotten a lot of centers paid. I think we forget what Tyson Chandler was when he came to New Orleans to play with CP3. He was labeled a bust. CP3 took that man, got that man paid, sent that man to Dallas where he won the championship, and it was all uphill from Tyson after that. But we got to remember what he was when he came and joined New Orleans. It was the perfect point guard for him to play with. So again, even though CP3 is old, man, I think he can still bring something to this team. I'm expecting some of the young guys to take a step. I think Shea's going to take a huge step. I think Shea can very well be the most improved player. And also Danilo, he's a guy that when healthy, he can give you 20 a night. Now, granted, he don't always, health is a huge question with him, and always has been and probably always will be. But see how many games did he play last year? Danilo played, 68 games last year. If he can come out and give you about 68 to 70 games, I think that this team can be decent. And also he gave you 19.8 in basically 70 games. If he can repeat that production, if Chris Paul can go out here and give you about 16 and 10, if Shea can get his scoring average to about 17, and Steven Adams can give you about 14 and 11, look, man, I don't think this team is terrible. Also, again, Schroeder off the bench. Look, man, I think this OKC team might surprise a couple people this season who's just completely writing them off. Now, granted, I'm not going to say even if they made the playoffs, they make it past the first round, but I do still think that this team can still be a very, very successful basketball team next season with Chris Paul. So, yeah, Pavi's Daily Takes.